Hello, welcome to Searching for Service, a show designed to help current and future Rotarians find purpose through service. Our show's promise is a dedication to sharing stories, experiences, and opportunities for those searching for service, and how Rotary has been the organization to bring it together. The goal of the show is to grow the Rotary family by connecting through service projects. I'm Kelly Kirk, and with me,
your co-host, Jill Kirk.
And together, we're going to dive deep into the heart of Rotary, service above self. We have, yet again, another special guest with us. Please welcome Peg Dehnow. Hello, Peg. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Good.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, welcome to Searching for Service. We are happy to have you on board and excited to dive into learning more about you and all that you bring to the table for Rotary.
Okay, I'll try.
Wonderful. So let's take a moment to get to know you, Peg. So why don't you share with our listeners a little bit about yourself and what it is that you do outside of Rotary. Let's start there first.
Okay. I was in the fast food industry, the restaurant business, with my husband for 50 years. We were very young.
Wow.
I have to throw that in. and then we retired in 2019. And at that time, COVID hit, and so it was kind of a quiet time. I had still been active in Rotary, but, I really didn't get totally involved until when it was coming out.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, no, sorry. Keep going.
I've always wanted to serve. And I didn't have much time. I was active in the organization of the Franchisees Association, but that was more political. And but I wanted to deal with people that needed, really help. So Rotary was a perfect fit for me, although I didn't know it at that time.
How did you find Rotary?
I had a really good friend that belongs to another Rotary club. It's over in Mendota Heights. And she had asked my husband and I to speak a couple of times at her club. We both were sailors that would crew on specific boats that was circumnavigating the world.
Wow.
And we're both sailors. Yeah, it was really fun. And what the main thing she wanted us to talk about was following your dreams. And that was really enjoyable. Both of us talking about what we loved. One of the things we loved. So as time went on, she kept on saying, Peggy, you gotta, I think you need to get into something, a service organization. And she invited me to join her club. Well, I live in south of Lakeville, and I'm going, wait a minute. If I'm going to join a Rotary club, then I'm going to join a Rotary club by where I live. So I got on the internet, and I looked up Lakeville Rotary Club, wrote to the president at that time, and went to a meeting. At that meeting, I was introduced to a lady, and she and I had lunch a couple times, and I started to understand what Rotary was a little bit. At that time, actually, I did not have too much of a clue what it was about, except that it was a service organization. So as time passed, after a couple of weeks, I did sign up as a member and was accepted as a member. I started volunteering for everything because I thought, well, if I'm the kind of person, if it gets in, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get involved.
Let's do it all.
So, I feel like that's the prerequisite of all new members too. Yeah. Is like you just get thrown into the deep end.
Yeah, I think so. Well, I wasn't thrown. I just think I did. I wanted to figure out what it was about. At the time I came in, and I'm not saying anything about our club, but it's changed a lot since. But I didn't really know yet how everything worked. In fact, I'm still sort of learning that. There's so much to learn. But I did volunteer for everything, any service projects, even road cleanup. which I actually kind of like because you get to talk with everybody. The Taste of Lakeville is one of our main, our fundraisers. And so I became very involved with that. That is mandatory in our club that you become active with that. In fact, I became the chair of the the silent auction for a couple of years, and that was kind of a daunting task at the time. But I enjoyed it.
I figured that out with one of the projects I was on too, so I can empathize with you.
There's a lot of anxiety that goes along with running a silent auction.
Yes. Well, it is, but it's such a good. That's where a lot of the funds that come from. So it was also such a great venue to do that with, and great people. I mean, the greatest time we had was wrapping all the baskets and stuff. I mean, we get together and have fun. So, which is, I think, the fifth requirement for Rotary is have fun.
Yeah. And do you have a specific project that was your favorite so far?
Or
just any service project that you've done thus far. What's the one that kind of sticks out that you were like, ooh? Really?
There's one that sticks out. It was over in Prior Lake. There's a couple of them. And that one, I'm just going to briefly say then, was for a halfway house for trafficked boys and girls. And we were just doing outside cleaning, but it was the idea of what we were doing it for. The other one, and I just went blank, that I really, really love is, there's an organization here in the Twin Cities that's called Sleep in Heavenly Peace. And it's an organization which builds beds for children who do not have beds. And I guess it is a law that if children don't have a bed, like if somebody's fostering them in a family or whatever, there's no bed for them, they can't stay there. So Sleep in Heavenly Peace builds these beds, and people go, we all come in at a certain bed build, and you do whatever they ask you to. My specialty, it seems to be, is sanding. So we go sand.
Well, you grinded real hard in the food industry for 50 years, so
no kidding.
Yeah, I learned really well. So my husband also comes, and he's not a Rotarian, but he follows me everywhere I go, I think.
I feel like that's
Rotary.
Really common too.
Yeah, and he always likes to do the sawing or the drilling and do all that kind of stuff. So
lovely. I love that you guys do those service projects together too. That's incredible.
Oh, yeah.
That's Joe and I for sure.
Yeah, it's he's really good that way. I said, why don't you join Rotary? He says, it's doing just fine. I'll just follow you around. I said,
yeah.
But they could use your money, but
yeah, he gets it all through you and the stuff that you guys do together. So we have about 2.5 minutes left for this first section. So I think it's important that our listeners know what's your role with Rotary? What have you taken on, and what are you passionate about as of current?
Back in about 2013, I was asked with another Lakeville Rotarian, to kind of be she was looking at doing a global grant. And I had not a clue what she was talking about. But I went with her and just kind of started it and kind of, looked at it. And then she left the club. She had to move. So it landed in my lap. So I started going to the Rotary grant. They used to call it the committee at that time, these meetings, and just kind of hung around because I found it really interesting and became a mentor. And I did go ahead and do that grant with the help of a wonderful mentor that I got from the district grant team. The grant was in Ecuador, and it was to redo kitchens in 3 schools and the bathrooms and a computer lab in the secondary school. Since then, last July, I became the district team lead. Because Margie Horning is a wonderful, wonderful lead and has been there for years, moved up to be the lead of the Rotary Foundation for District 5960.
Wonderful. Yeah, and I was just going to say we should probably note that it's for 5960 that you are the
right.
grant
I was
going to
go into that.
So. Yeah,
it's a difference.
Let's go ahead and cover that for this next section for our listeners. We're excited to learn and grow from you in that process. And I know as a newer Rotarian, I know just enough about the Rotary Foundation and the grant process, but excited to learn so much more from you. So thank you so much, and we'll learn more here in this next section.
Okay.
As a reminder, you are listening to Searching for Service, brought to you by District 5950 and 5960. I'm Kelly Kirk.
And I'm Joseph Kirk. We'll see you on the flip side.
Hello, and welcome back to Searching for Service, brought to you by District 5950 and 5960. I'm Kelly Kirk, and with me,
Joseph Kirk.
The lovely Joseph Kirk. And as a reminder, you can find us on your favorite podcast platforms. And what do we love, Joe?
5-star reviews.
5-star reviews, please. If you are tuning in for the first time, we have a special guest on with us, Peg Dehnow. She is the grant team lead for District 5960, and we are so happy to have her on board. She is going to take some time here to explain the grant process for the Rotary and how that ties into the Rotary Foundation. And I personally, as a newer Rotarian, am very excited to hear more about what that process looks like. I learned just a little bit about it when I first got into Rotary, but not enough. And so I'm very excited to hear and learn more from you, Peg. So what we're going to do, we're going to just pass that torch on over to you so you can share with our listeners, what does that look like?
Okay, first I'm going to tell you about the Rotary Foundation. Because without the Rotary Foundation, there really wouldn't be any grants.
Yeah.
The Rotary Foundation is where the Rotarians give funds every year, and the funds go up into a World Fund, and they're held for. I'll go through that later a little bit, but it's how there's a really ingenious plan of how they handle the money. I think. I'm going to give you some background first. Since it was founded 100 years ago, the foundation has spent more than $4 billion on life-changing, sustainable projects.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, the impact one donation can do, 60 cents. A child can be protected from polio. 60 cents. $50 can provide clean water to fight waterborne illness. $500 can launch an anti-bullying campaign and create a safe environment for children. And those are really important, I believe. Rotary has a 4-charity navigation highest level, which is about as high as you can go, which I'm pretty proud of. That means that they are ethical and do handle the money ethically. 91% of all those funds that are spent on programs, awards, and operation grants. The financial structure is organized as a public charity operating with a board of trustees and a board of directors. And these people are responsible for making sure that all the money is handled ethically. The association, there's a reason that Rotarians donate to the Rotary Foundation. It's a simple way to achieve your philanthropic goals, whether it's supporting clean water, eradicating polio. By the way, we will eradicate polio, or a particular global grant. Any gift can be donated, but when you give a gift to Rotarians, I don't know if most people know this, but you can designate where that gift goes to. For instance, it could go to End Polio Now. It could go to an individual grant. or I could go to one of Rotary's area of focus.
Yeah, that's one thing. If you don't mind if I jump in for a second, that's something that's really cool about the foundation is you can earmark your funds for specific types of use. If it's clean water, or if you want it to go towards ending human trafficking, you can earmark your funds to do that. It's kind of a unique component of the foundation, and a lot of the Rotarians that I talk to, and it's the reason why they love giving money to Rotary, is because it just has so much versatility, and then like you already hit it, we do such a good job with the money that you actually get the money to the cause. And
yeah,
right. Yeah, I think it's one of the best things you get the most for your buck. 91% of the money, like I said before, the foundation goes to programs, and only 9% towards administration. All of the funds that go to the foundations go into an annual fund for 3 years, and an investment committee, including 3 foundation trustees and 6 Rotarians, were professionals in the field, make sure the money is invested responsibly during this period. That's the part I love. Mm-hmm. When the 3 years is up, the investment earnings on your gift go toward the operating expenses of the foundation. Now, I think that's brilliant. Number one, they make sure that the funds are safe from the fluctuation of going up and down, and then the interest pays for the running of the grant or the fund.
Yeah, that's so brilliant. Just because then again, we're maximizing the use of those funds.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So really quick for those that are listening as well is, you can do your research on other nonprofits and charitable organizations, and a lot of them will post what their percentage of funds that go towards the project, and Rotary is consistently amongst the highest, if not the highest, regularly. Right. So,
yep. Yeah, that's one of the things I love. I mean, it's just such a stellar organization, in my opinion. And the principal that comes back after 3 years is split 50-50, with half going to a district designated fund, which we call DDF, and half going into the World Fund. And that's a pool that goes more for instance, the polio, for, I'm sorry, I'm blanking, for some of the emergency grant funds.
Yeah.
So that goes in there.
Well, let me ask you a question really quick.
Sure.
If I'm somebody who's not a Rotarian and I have, a cause or something that I'm extremely passionate about that would fit into the buckets of Rotary, like, why is this so important for me to hear? Can you talk a little bit about the matching? I think that's the component. I think that a lot of the listeners, and I'm kind of skipping ahead here a little bit, but just I'm trying to keep time
Absolutely.
Just talk about the matching component. So, kind of walk through how a local grant can then grow through getting matching funds from other components.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I do want to mention right here that each district is different in the way that they match. I know that 5960 and 5950 are a little bit different. So I'm reporting on what 5960 does.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the grants in our funding guidelines are cash contributions from Rotary clubs in District 5960 and other districts will be matched dollar for dollar with a district designated fund member. I said that's DDF. Up to a maximum award specified in the current spending plan. Now, right this year, it is set at $500 as a minimum and 3,000 as a maximum that the district will match for each club. So, in a single project. Now, that isn't, so say Lakeville has a project, that doesn't mean they just can only match 3,000 on one project. It's for every project. Mm-hmm. Now, all those different, say there's 10 clubs, well, that would be, okay, for a global grant, say there was 10 clubs, and they all put in $3,000. So that would be $30,000. But our district would only has a maximum that it will go to, and that's 25,000. Okay. So the rest would, so you have to take that into effect too. The maximum project match would be $12,000, and still a limit of 3,000 maximum per club. Does that make any sense, or do you have a question with that?
It does. It's just I'm trying to explain to our audience. What's really great is say you have a $3,000 grant that you want to start, and you raise that money at your local club. You can then get an additional $3,000 from your district if it applies, if it works. I'm trying to explain to people, a single $3,000 project can grow into this massive, and like you just actually hit on it too. If you partnered with other clubs that had funds that came in. So say a $3,000. Well, I guess we'll just have to cover it on the next section.
I guess so. We certainly will. I know. And this is why we love the show, too, is we have the opportunity to transition into the next section. So as a reminder, you're listening to Searching for Service. I'm Kelly Kirk.
And I'm Joseph Kirk. Long story short, lots of money can be had with the Rotary Fund.
Hello and welcome back to Searching for Service, brought to you by District 5950 and 5960. I'm Kelly Kirk, and with me,
Joseph Kirk.
All right, take it away, Joseph Kirk.
All right, Peg, we kind of got cut off on that last section. I think instead of trying to go back and explain it all over again, why don't we do this instead? Why don't we use it as an example? And I'd love to hear a story that you have of a successful grant program and, from start to finish, kind of how it went about. Because I think a lot of people that listen to the show are going to be really interested, like, okay, how do I do it? Like, I have no idea how to even get started. First step.
What better way to learn than by example?
Exactly. So I can start off. I'm actually going to highlight a grant that I'm actually the author of right now. And I just finished the first year report. I'm going to start from the very beginning. Back, 3 years ago, or 4 years ago, I went on a mission trip with a group here from Minnesota called the Andean Community Partners. And what they do is they take a team of St. Olaf alumni doctors, led by Dr. Doug Tape, down to a little village called Hulik Baru, which is high in the Andean Mountains in 13,000 elevation. It's right by Machu Picchu.
Ooh.
And they do medical missions. And when I went with them, I kind of fell in love with the people. I mean, the first thing you do when you get off the bus, they come up and they throw flowers on you. And I mean, I literally broke into tears. I was so moved with these people. But this particular group, when the SARS-CoV-2 global pandemic hit, there were immediate long-term and short-term impacts, of course. This particularly is true for the towns in the high Andes because they lose all income. Most of these men are porters for the Inca Trail. So I'm just going to move forward again. So there was a devastating impact on the impact of food security in the short term and sustainable opportunities to grow their own food. So
now this was obviously driven by tourism, correct? Like
yeah. Well, Yeah, because all the men from there are, porters, and there is, if you want to call it a road, it's just this kind of little trail. You go up there. People do come by into this village too, and the women sell their wares of all the weaving they do, etc.
So all the commerce stopped in the country essentially when everything happened. Okay. Yep.
Peru actually had the highest death rate per capita of any place in the world. Really got hit, and especially up in the high mountain communities. The biggest challenge is there was a national emergency. There was a financial crisis, and 1 in 2 rural mountain communities were experiencing this severe food insecurity. Okay. The high mountain of Hulik, I'm not going to briefly, is 9 small towns, and it is this one community. And the situation got just unbearable. All the people that had been gone, such as they were working in the big cities, all came home. So the population grew to about 15,000. And the food situation became even worse. ACP, or Andean Community Partners, did do some brief emergency packets. They call them canastas, which were, that they brought food into the organization. But then a couple of us said, wait a minute here. This is great for the short term, but we can't do this forever. It's not sustainable. So at that point, we started looking around for a way to help them have sustainable nutritional products that they can grow. So we found this organization down in Peru called the Andean Association for Sustainable Development, all these acronyms, AASD. And they actually are they are a U.S. company, or founded by them, but they are doing fantastic work down in Peru and actually all over the world. And they grow greenhouses, or they teach people how to do greenhouses and grow products, agroecology. I don't know what the word is. Anyhow, I just went by it. They use only organic fertilizer and organic pesticide. So at that point, we started working with them a little bit. First, we had to do what you call an assessment, which is really important. That means you go in and you talk to the villagers. You may do a survey to find out how they eat or how they don't eat. You see if there is a sustainability in this whole project.
You go in and you figure out what they need and how you can provide it. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. But that's one of the largest things you have to do before you can go in for a global grant. You have to prove that it's sustainable and that the people want it. Because if they don't want it, they're not going to take care of it. And it's just going to fall apart.
Fair enough.
That's one of the biggest problems that NGOs have. They'll come in fact, this community's had that. They come in, they do a project, and they leave. And so the project just sits there. Right now there's a fish farm sitting up there. There's a bunch of greenhouses that the government put in that are sitting empty. So we applied for $49,500 grant. I kept it right under 50,000 because when you go up to past 50,000, you have to do additional work. And I wanted to get this done fast so we could get going with this project. So we started the grant process in August of 2021. First of all, I had to get a mentor from 5960. That is, I go to my fellow teammates and I get a mentor. I got a wonderful mentor. Actually, he's one of the top people he oversees a bunch of districts right now. And and he happens to be a friend. And we picked. There's different areas of focus for Rotary. There were 6 of them, and there's now 7. I'm not going to go into all of them. If you want to know, call me or go online. But the 7th one was added last year, called the Environment, and it actually fit our grant the best because nothing really talked about it. And it fit it because it went around the agroecology and the sustainable agriculture and production of these high-quality, nutritious foods. So having that done, and I got the mentor, we started raising funds, went to all sorts of different clubs, and actually I want to applaud 5950 out of the blue. They actually came and asked me if I needed money, and I said, yeah.
How can we help?
And they contributed quite a good chunk, a little, for this.
So, Peg,
and
we have about 2 minutes left.
Okay.
So
the grant now, it's been going for a year. All 30, we built 30 greenhouses. All 30 of them are doing really well. They have trained them how to build them, how to do the soil and do everything organically, how to handle pesticides, and they've had many meetings on teaching them how to handle these different items. That we were going to teach them how to do some commercialization or selling products. However, the people that have the grants, that have the greenhouses, wanted to go back and learn more about the actual sustaining the products rather than learning and going into selling.
That's great.
30 of them are all very successful. There was some problems along the way, but I will applaud this town. They formed a co-op, and if anybody was slacking at all, they did come and say, shape up, or we're going to give this to somebody else.
Peg, I got to cut you off right here because, we could probably talk about this for another 2 hours if we wanted to because it's a deep subject. But, we want to say thank you so much for being on the show and sharing some of your experiences on what the foundation is about, a specific grant. And we really enjoyed having you on the show.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Searching for Service. I'm Kelly Kirk.
And I'm Joseph Kirk.
And as a reminder, it's time to stop searching.
And to start serving.
Well, hello, and welcome back to Searching for Service. I'm Kelly Kirk. And with me is...
And I'm Joseph Kirk, who wanted to, start the holiday weekend early and cut it off. Sorry about that, Peg.
Yeah, no, Peg, we certainly want you on for another section. I was sitting there pointing at my notes wait, hold on a second, we have another section.
I have Thanksgiving turkey on my brain.
I guess so. So, Peg, thank you so much. We're happy that you're coming back on board with us for this last section.
Oh, my pleasure.
Because I think that this is probably the most important section for us to wrap up our conversation with you as our guest and, how we have delved into that grant process. But Rotary really has our big, thing for this year is Imagine Rotary and what we envision. And so our question to you is, talk to us about what you envision, where you see Rotary going with the grant program. You've been a grant team lead for quite some time now, and so I can imagine that you have seen a lot over the years in terms of transitions, growth, development. You probably encountered some hurdles over COVID as well. So what has all of that looked like, and how do you see that playing into these upcoming years?
Okay, thank you. I've just became the team lead in July, but I've been a mentor for since 2013, and I see Rotary going to a lot of different places with these grants. I know that the direction, imagine. I think the biggest thing that Rotary could say is they imagine peace. I was reading last night when I was trying to go through all, the notes on, is that one of the reasons Rotary looks at all we do in the world with these grants as a way to peace. Mm-hmm. If you take care of the people, if you take care of the problems, if you do these peace fellowships, which are actually there, it can lead towards peace in the world. And I truly believe that Rotary will continue that and probably even press harder with that. I also do firmly believe that Rotary will eradicate polio in the next few years. It definitely will. It's going to take longer. It's going to take money, but that's the way it goes when you're trying to do something with this magnitude. Mm-hmm. And they've come a long, long ways. As far as grants, it depends, how much farther Rotary can grow with grants. I think depends upon the foundation and upon people being willing to give. I know in our district we've run out of money, not this year, but because of the pandemic. Yeah. But beforehand, we would have to allocate funds according to some dynamics or some items like how many grants has this club helped with other clubs, or how many, just to be able to figure out how much to allocate each grant. And the reason being is everybody wanted to be respectful to every grant. Everyone should get funded, but it depends on what their algorithm was.
Sure.
So now, hopefully, we won't ever have to go back to that. Hopefully, there will always be money there and enough money. I know that it used to be that the DDF or the district would fund 2-to-1 or 1-to-1, and then the global would fund both of those. So you would get a huge impact for or bang for your buck.
Yeah.
It is not the same now. Right now, at least in 5950, we will, match up to a certain amount, and TER or the global, the rest of the funds, no longer match club and other donations. They only will match DDF at 80%.
Okay.
And that's because there's been such a big drain on, people are coming forward with more grants. It's a good news, bad news. It's great to have more grants out there. People were really wanting to do good, both district and global, but also it's putting more drain on the clubs. I want to just mention really quickly, there is a disaster relief part of the World Fund. That right now is obviously really in practice with Ukraine. Mm-hmm. 5960 has put forth 2 grants, and they are going. One was for water filters, and that one was just sent out. And the other one is for first aid kits. I can't remember exactly how many, but these aren't just, first aid kits like we have. These are first aid kits like with tourniquets and whatever. They go to the first responders.
Well, that's great.
So
I do want to do really quick. I just want to go back to something you said, because I do think it's super critical at this time is, how Rotary has been, their quest is peace. And,
right.
There's a lot of turmoil in the world, and, that's all we hear, I feel like, right now. And, one of my favorite things is, Rotary's always been this voice of reason. It's always been the cooler head. It's always been this diplomatic solution. So when you talk about, we hope that it's part of the solution going forward. It has to be, because I think it's always been. And one like little follow-up question to, if somebody's listening to this who is not necessarily a member of Rotary and is looking to get involved in service and involved in, an organization, and, what advice do you have for them?
The first thing I think I do would be to examine yourself. Why do you want to get into this? What is it you really want to do with this, with, the organization? Where do you want to help take it? The second thing is figure out how to do it. Do your homework also on the organization. Are they ethical? What are their ratings? What are their goals? And the third thing is get involved. I mean, just try it out. How do you know unless you try something? And, because you're always learning and everything's always changing. So that would be my recommendation. And then if you do decide to go,
fantastic.
It was, because a lot of the listeners who are tuning in quite possibly can be individuals who are not Rotarians right now, and it's important for them to first take in an evaluation of themselves and what they what their I'm going to say it, hopes and dreams are for being involved in a community, and where do they want to go with that? And perhaps Rotary is that platform for them to be able to do that. And maybe they're really incredibly passionate about a specific topic, and Rotary can be that vehicle for them to be able to contribute towards it.
I want to just plug in here too. There is, I don't want to just sit there and ignore the district grants, the smaller ones, because those are great. You can either be spent here in the U.S. or they can go international too. It's just a smaller grant. Now the global grants cannot have a project in the U.S. They have to be global. So that is a thought too. You see something you want to do, you kind of ask somebody.
Yeah.
Or if you do belong to Rotary, or if you do belong to another organization, ask them, what are your guidelines for each of these? And see if it fits what you want to do.
I love it.
So.
That was impressive, Peg, and I just want to say thank you so much. We can finally say...
Oh, now we do it.
Now we can say thank you so much for taking time. We apologize for the little hiccup there in Section 3.
Well, happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
yes.
And Joe can go have his turkey.
I already started, so...
Yeah, I guess so. He's had his turkey, and he's already, falling asleep, apparently. So, Peg, thank you. We were so happy to have you on as the individual to speak on behalf of the grant process for Rotary. And so we hope that you enjoyed, and we look forward to having you on again.
I'd like that. Hopefully I'll be a little clearer in my brain for the most part.
No problem. We hope that you enjoy the rest of your weekend. And
you too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
All right, and as a reminder, you are listening to Searching for Service. I'm Kelly Kirk, and with me,
Joseph Kirk.
And as a reminder, it's time to stop searching
and start serving.